Mr. Blakemore. No, I just want to let you know I'm starting the meeting now. Thank you. You gentlemen good? Are you ready? Good afternoon, and welcome to the July 8, 2025 regular meeting of the Community Development Commission of Chicago. I am Gwendolyn Hatton Butler, Chairwoman of the CDC. Today's meeting is being held at City Hall, room 201A, and is also being streamed by the Department of Planning and Development. The agenda for today's meeting was posted on July 3rd, 2025, both on the CDC website and physically at City Hall. I will now call to order the July 8th meeting of the Community Development Commission with a call of the roll. Commissioners, when your name is called, please respond by saying present. Please note this vote will be used to establish the roll call for subsequent items on our agenda today. Vice Chair Thomas. Secretary Chan McKibben. DPT Commissioner Sear Boatwright. Commissioner Buford. Commissioner Curtis. Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Gomez. Commissioner Griggs. Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Millsap. Commissioner Zayas. And Chair Hatton Butler is present. We have a quorum. At this time, we will begin the verbal public comment period of the meeting. Members of the public were able to submit written statements to the commission via email. A written letter of support for the second item under new business on today's agenda was received and is on file with the Department of Planning and Development. There were no other written statements from the public received by the Department of Planning and Development prior to the established deadline of 24 hours prior to the scheduled start of the meeting. At this time, we will begin the verbal public comment period of today's meeting. Speakers were able to sign up to speak prior to the meeting and will be called in the order they arrived. During this public comment period, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes to allow time for as many speakers as possible. We would ask that you keep your comments relevant to items on today's agenda. Bailey, is there the sign-up sheet? Okay. All right, well, I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Blakemore. Thank you.
I signed up for A and B.
Can we turn up his mic, please?
Yeah, thank you. I signed up for A and B. So I won't combine these two because I'm going to give information about the 31st and Halstead, and I will be getting other information as the meeting progress on the second item. So the first, I'm going to make a general statement dealing with economic development in these blighted areas. It's very important that our people are working when they get these jobs. What do you mean, Mr. Blakemore? Black men working on this development, not with these union jobs. It's very important. And the developers, most of the time, are mostly white developers. And they come in and they they get these contracts. Number one, I'm going to be very critical of the commission because I have seen this go on for many a year where the alderman would have the last word. I'm making a general statement now, and that when they have these, they should have a sign-in sheet when the people from the community comes in. They should also have a record how the people in the community voted. And it's not necessary that you should just have a letter from the alderman because it could be pay to play. So I want to thank you for recognizing me, Chairman, because the truth will set you free. Some people want to silence. And when you're silent, when you see an injustice and you silent, that means you're part of the problem and not the solution. So again, thank you for greeting me with a smile. I'm not the enemy. And I'm able to say things that other people probably can't because they work for the commission. I don't. And the golden rule is he who has the gold rule. And our people are poor. And we got to pool our money and
Right. Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. Are there any other members of the public who would care to address the commission at the time? So thank you. The public comment period of today's meeting is now over. The first item on our agenda requests approval of the minutes from our previous meeting held on June 10th, 2025. The commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes, and if there are no corrections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. But before we do that, I'd like the record to show that Secretary Chan McKibben has joined the meeting. Thank you. Are there any abstentions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, let the record reflect that Commissioner Johnson is abstaining. Hearing no additional corrections or objections, the motion is approved. Commissioners, for the first item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Planning is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the redevelopment of the property located at 1717 through 1769 West Pershing Road in the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area, and for the commission to grant authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a land sale agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the disposition of the property located at 1717 through 1769 West Pershing Road within the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area, and for the commission to recommend to the City Council the designation of Pershing 1769 LLC as developer. Jeffrey Cohen will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Butler and esteemed commissioners of the Community Development Commission. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Cohen, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development's Bureau of Economic Development. I'm here today to request the CDC to grant DPD the authority to negotiate both a land sale and redevelopment agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC and recommend the designation of Pershing 1769 LLC as developer to City Council for the purposes of disposing and redeveloping the properties located at 1717 and 1769 West Pershing Road within the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area. The properties and project under consideration today are located at 1717 and 1769 West Pershing Road. These are located in the New City Community Area, Southwest Planning Region, and in the 12th Ward, represented by Alderwoman Julia Ramirez, who is in support of this project. The property is also situated within Enterprise Zone 2 and within the 35th Halsted Redevelopment Project area, also known as the Tax Increment Financing District, or TIF District. A little history on this project. These properties were originally built in 1918 as the Quartermaster Depot for the U.S. Army as part of the Central Manufacturing District to assist with the warehousing, distribution, and transportation of critical supplies, munitions, and materiel for the U.S. Army. At the time of construction, the Quartermaster Depot was among the largest concrete warehouse buildings in the world, with floor load capacities of around 300 pounds per square foot. The three-building, 1.5 million square foot facility has changed missions over the years, with the westernmost buildings now supporting the Board of Elections and Fleet and Facility Management, while 1769 West Pershing, the easternmost building, has remained largely unutilized since the Board of Education departed the facility in the early 2000s. 1717 West Pershing was acquired by the city in 1985 from the Fruhauf Corporation. The existing one-story, 55,000 square foot industrial facility and associated 85,000 square feet of land currently support operations for the Department of Streets and Sanitation and Chicago Department of Transportation and used for general warehousing and fleet logistics. This current effort to sell and redevelop these properties commenced nearly 3 years ago, almost to the day. However, the city has been seeking to redevelop these assets for nearly a decade. A little bit of the timeline here. In July of 2022, this body approved and authorized DPD to develop and release a request for proposals to redevelop the properties proposed in this presentation. The RFP was released specifically on July 18th and was open to the public. DPD received 5 proposals and were submitted prior to the October 21, 2022 deadline. These proposals were first reviewed in November 2022 through the work of an evaluation committee comprising representatives from the Department of Planning and Development, Department of Public Health, Department of Housing, Fleet and Facilities Management, as well as the Mayor's Office. In addition, this include reviewers from the community and community groups such as McKinley Park Development Council and Neighbors for Environmental Justice. In the spring of 2023, the 5 proposals were also subject to a community engagement process that required development teams to present their proposals to the public, answer questions, and receive feedback. After thorough review by both the city, community representatives, and community members themselves, IBT Group's Pershing Terminal proposal was selected as the successful respondent to the RFP and brings us today requesting your authority to bring this towards City Council and able to negotiate a redevelopment agreement. Depicted on this is the 2 sites. 1769 West Pershing is one of the 3 massive connected industrial buildings, formerly known as the Quartermaster Depot. Each building measures approximately 263 feet wide by 325 deep and contains more than 570,000 square feet of space. The building also features 13-foot floor-to-ceiling heights. In 2016, the entire property was incorporated into the National Register of Historic Places as part of the Central Manufacturing District, Pershing Road Development Historic District, and as such, all efforts must be made to preserve and restore the historic facades of the building. To the east of this property is 1717 West Pershing, which contains that 55,000 square foot warehouse facility and 85,000 square feet of land. Again, this is being currently utilized by Department of Streets and Sanitation and Chicago Department of Transit. Planning is currently underway to identify other locations for the existing operations, as these facilities will be vacated and demolished as part of the current redevelopment plan. Here is another aerial kind of depicting the frontages from varying points. As you can see here, the 2 main properties are the easternmost buildings of the Central Manufacturing District. Here are interiors of the existing facility. On the left, from left to right, is the basement floor, a middle level, and then the 5th floor which has a sunroof. The lead developer for the project will be Pershing 1769 LLC, a special purpose entity created specifically for this project, controlled by IBT Group, which is a Chicago-based development firm led by Gary Pachuki. The rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of this project will consist of 3 components. The 1769 West Pershing building will be repurposed for two main components: a 232,000 square foot of new commercial office and high-tech laboratory uses from the basement through level 2, and the residential uses from levels 3 to 6, which comprise 172 residential units, 20% of them being affordable. This will also include amenities such as a rooftop garden and additional residential amenities that will benefit the residents. The third component entails demolishing of the existing improvements at 1717 West Pershing for the purposes of constructing a new 42,000 square foot retail center with 144 parking spaces. This project is receiving approximately actually $30,175,000 in TIF proceeds, and is also subject to approximately $6.7 million land write-down. Project is anticipated to start in July of 2026 and complete in March of 2028. In total, the project will be $186 million. Today, I'm also joined by members of the development team. This includes Gary Pachuki, Armina Shakiba from IBT Group. We are also joined by representatives from Arco Murray, the general contractor, their counsel, Edgar Acosta, and as well as representatives from their capital team, including Chris Carroll from Bellwether for their debt financing, and Dan Charleston from Larchmont, who is responsible for their equity placement. Additional members of the team include Epstein, who is the lead architect, and will be engaging Inglewood Construction for the development of the retail component. I thought it was important to mention that this team, and specifically the lead developer, has experience in adaptively reusing old, obsolete industrial facilities. On the screen right now is the example of the terminal, which is a new state-of-the-art facility that is catered to science and high technology. It consists of around 250,000 square feet in the Humboldt Park neighborhood, and has been and is currently in lease up. The total project here was around $80 million. This is also an example of the developer's ability to source outside capital, where they were able to obtain a partner in the Mansueto family office. Shown here is the proposed site plan for the redevelopment. We proposed ingress and egress, as well as identifying bus route number 35. For reference, the 35th and Archer Orange Line station is located approximately 1 mile to the northwest. As you can see here, the retail portion will consist of primary inline suites, as well as an outlot typically reserved for quick serve establishments. You will also notice that the plan also includes a cut in through the roof as a light well that will help of the non-historical interior of the property to provide sufficient natural light to residential units. The light well will go from the roof to the second floor. Here's a rendering of the property looking southwest, and another rendering looking south. As you can see here, the light well is in the non-historical features and provides abundant light for the interior of the property. And here is a rendering of the proposed retail development. As previously mentioned, the budget for this project is approximately $186 million. This will be facilitated by approximately $22.2 million of developer equity and $93.5 million senior loan, $16.5 million of C-PACE financing, $23.8 million of federal historic tax credits, and the remainder being TIF funding in the amount of $30.175 million. I'd like to bring to the attention that the developer will be seeking outside limited partner equity in the amount of around 80 to 90% of that proposed amount. So the developer will be bringing around 2.2 to 4.5 million of their own invested equity. The majority of these funds will be used to restore and reestablish the existing 1769 West Pershing Road. 60% of that will be in terms of hard costs. There will also be an allocation of 26.2 in tenant improvements for the office and tech space. And the remainder will consist of soft costs, contingencies, interest reserve, as well as financing costs. Here is the proposed unit mix for the residential component. As mentioned before, it will consist of 172 units. 20% or 34 will be deemed as ARO units, blended to a 60% AMI. And this slide depicts the breakdown of average unit sizes and market rental rates for both the market rent and affordable. MR is market rate and A is affordable. As you can see from this slide, as you get to the larger bedrooms, the deeper the affordability becomes, and we hope that this will attract additional household formation in the area. The structure and requirements of the city funds. This is something that I'd also want to point out that DPD has been expressly and concerned with in terms of providing economically feasible structures that relate to the current economic environment with higher interest rates, increased hard costs, as well as uncertainty in the market. DPD wants to make sure that they balance the benefits of the public as well as the developer and creating marketable and economically feasible projects. With that said, the city has proposed a structure that will disperse 30% of TIF funds at 30% of construction completion, an additional 30% at 60%. 20% of funds will be achieved upon leasing up all 34 ARO units, receiving 50% leasing of the retail space and delivering the commercial space in what we call make-ready condition. The 20% that remains will be dispersed upon the issuance of the certificate of completion. Additional protections that the city is required of this revolve around occupancy covenants. There will be a residential occupancy covenant to maintain the AR units at 85% capacity, 50% occupancy minimum for the retail, and a 50% minimum occupancy for the commercial components through the compliance period, which is 10 years. In addition, the ARO units will be subject to a 30-year inclusionary housing agreement, providing long-term affordability over a 30-year period. In addition to these, there will be typical construction compliance metrics for prevailing wage, MWBE compliance, as well as city residency. And additional protections the city has layered in are a flip provision, subordinate recapture mortgage, as well as profit sharing arrangement. The public benefits for this project are vast. Specifically, this proposed project will reactivate a long vacant city piece of land, returning it to the tax rolls. It will also feature sustainable features such as solar panels, water reclamation, water conservation, and permeable pavers. And additionally, this will have an economic and social impact by increasing density in this area, and it will assist to continue viability of the retail and commercial corridor along Pershing. We also think that this project will maintain the neighborhood's diversity and provide a wide range of housing options to support local businesses and continue to celebrate and welcome culturally, ethnically, and linguistically diverse residents. As previously mentioned, this project also has significant community support, having gone through a robust selection process. This has also been upheld by the current Alderwoman, Julia Ramirez, who has taken over for Alderman George Cardenas, who originally started this process. Again, community organizations have endorsed this project, and we do have letters of support from the McKinley Park Development Council. In addition to some of these public benefits, the developer projects that approximately 300 construction jobs will be created and up to an additional 300 jobs for the commercial and retail spaces. Also significant for this project, it is conformance with the redevelopment plan for the 35th and Halsted redevelopment area and was part of the reasons for selecting this project. With that said, the request for this commission is to grant the authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the redevelopment of the property located at 1717 through 1769 West Pershing Road in the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area, and to recommend the City Council the designation of Pershing 1769 LLC as developer. We also request to grant authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a land sale agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the disposition of the properties located at 1717 and 1769 West Pershing Road within the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area. That concludes my presentation. We appreciate your attention, and I have team members from the development team here as well to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. The commission has received a letter of support from Alderman Ramirez. And if present, I would like to recognize Alderman Ramirez or anyone from their office to make a statement on the project. Jeffrey, is anyone from the Alderman's office here?
They are not in attendance, no.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Commissioners, Do you have any questions for Jeffrey Cohen regarding this request by the Department of Planning? Yes, Commissioner Vice Chair Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How old is the TIF?
The TIF district was, I did not know that off the top of my head. I apologize, but we can make sure that you know that.
Is the property write down part of the financial structure?
Yes,
Okay. Where,
they will be
Can we
acquiring.
have the department's, yeah, we need his mic on. Thank you.
can you go to the financial structure slide?
The city will be selling the development for $10.
So is the write down amount part of the financial structure?
Meaning that
It's 6.5 million
we are,
value that they receive.
yes, that is part of the incentive the total incentive that they are receiving.
But it doesn't show in your sources, right?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Other questions? Yes, Commissioner Curtis.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm, you've used the phrase return to tax rolls. And I just wanted to make sure that this is in fact taxable and will
It is.
generate real estate taxes.
Well, it is currently exempt from real estate taxes as it is owned by the city. So once it is returned to private hands, it will be a taxable property.
That's all I was looking for. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Anything that you can share in terms of if there's any current. There we go. Can you hear me? There we go. Yeah, is there anything that you can share in terms of current leasing of the spaces?
I will have
And then
to,
a follow-up after
I will
that
have
as
to
well.
defer that to the development team.
And so I would ask that a member of the development team step to the mic to answer any questions. And also, thank you for joining us today. Please introduce yourself before your remarks.
Hi, I'm Gary Pachuki with IBT Group, and I'm thrilled to be here.
So,
And so there's a question for the development team.
So we've started leasing at the very early stages, so we've had some initial conversations. We have a couple members from our retail leasing team, and where we're at now is we're starting to talk to some nationals. A project like this takes a while to socialize within the real estate community. So because there's nothing there now, so we have to start to show them that we have had progress. We have to start to verify, validate that it's a real project, that we're going to actually have an agreement with the city to go forward. We have leasing plans already, as you saw. And so we've had some very general discussions with some national tenants, but it's early in the process. But yes, so we've gotten some interest, but we're early.
To add to that, this is being actively marketed as a retail location. Typically, from the office occupancy standpoint and office users, they would want to see some additional readiness. I think getting the approval at CDC and being able to enter into a redevelopment agreement negotiation will advance those conversations and make this project more quote unquote real for some of these types of users.
Got it. And if I could follow up, the condition in terms of the third payment is based on just leasing of the space, or is it actually occupancy? Just for clarity.
It is based on occupancy of the aero units and leasing of the commercial.
Leasing of the commercial. Okay.
Additional questions, Commissioner
No,
Johnson?
Thank you.
Commissioner Millsap, any questions?
Yes, I have a question for Gary, actually,
Yeah.
too. If you can speak to how the value of the asset factors into your overall equity, and then can you talk about the source of your equity to, I think it was approximately 2 to 4 million was stated would come from you as developer. My second question is related to how you're going to partner with the community around hiring efforts, and what, if any, firms are you currently working with to make sure that you're going to meet those equity requirements through the project?
Okay. So with respect to the cash equity, our equity will come from personal resources and fees that will be paid as part of the project. We'll have a third-party equity partner who will be a limited partner, co-general partner with us that will get on the mortgage. And typically, we've done this many times over the years. It's frequently an institutional partner. We've done a number of deals with Inland DRC, which is a large multinational corporation. Our current equity, as Jeff mentioned, and the terminal is a private family office, the Mansueto office. So at this point, we have both of our debt and equity partners here, but they're just really starting the process. We've been working on this for about 20 months. We now are, relatively close to a final draft of a development agreement. And in order for really anything to happen, we need to be able to prove to people that there's a real deal here. So working with Jeff and his team, it takes time. And so, but we've already started the socializing process. We are going to different marketing events for the retail. As Jeff mentioned, for the commercial, it's impossible to pre-lease that space. The tenants, because we have experience working with high science tenants, quantum physics, nanotechnology, and those people actually need to see the space in sort of a move-in ready condition, meaning they have a relatively short horizon. So they want to see space that they can move into in, 3 to 6 months. And we are a solid 2 years away until we actually start getting to the point where we can actually show that space. So the first thing that will happen is we'll probably have some pre-leasing on the retail, then the apartment leasing, and then last will be the commercial space. Okay.
WMB
Pardon?
compliance. And then WMB compliance.
Oh, yeah. And so we have representative from Arco Murray, who is going to be our general contractor here. And we will comply with all the MBE, WBE requirements at the terminal. We've done very well bringing dispersing. I don't remember. Do you remember the exact numbers of Paul, like a minority contributed? It was like 25%. Yeah. Yeah. So we've done that. About 25% in the terminal, and in that one, to be honest, there's no city assistance, no public money. We did that just on our own, just to be compliant and to support the neighborhood. And but we've done other projects in the past in the city on 42nd and Pulaski, as a matter of fact, where we received a TIF 10 years ago and worked through the WBE MBE process.
Additional questions, Commissioner? Yes, Secretary Chair McKibben.
Thank you, Chair. To piggyback on Commissioner Johnson's question, are there any plans in your retail plan to include local businesses? And you mentioned some national partners.
Yeah, I think
potential national-
ultimately that would be great. I can tell you that we've had very, 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 very early discussions with a local grocer that has some interest, and we're actually working with DPT now to schedule a tour for them in the next week or so they can actually get on site and look at the building. So yeah, that is part of the plan.
Thank you.
So I just have a couple of questions, and actually the commissioners have asked most of the questions that I had. So just a couple of cleanup from my perspective on the structure of the GP and the capital raise. And this is a question for the developer. Are you the only one in the GP? Is that, or will you have other partners in the
Well,
GP?
I'll have a co-GP, which will be an equity partner.
And has that equity partner been identified?
It is not.
So will you have, since there's kind of a joint venture in the GP,
Right.
you have the standard, will you be the managing member
I
of the
will-
GP?
Yes.
Okay, and standard provisions with respect to rights and responsibilities
Yeah.
in the venture?
It means everything that goes wrong is my fault. Yes.
Okay, all right. This is for the department. One of the public benefits that you mentioned was profit sharing. Could you go into a bit more detail as to exactly what that is?
Sure. I guess there's technically two forms of profit sharing. One is through the flip provision, and then another is a cash flow oriented hurdle. So within the redevelopment agreement, we'll have target IRRs that over which excess proceeds, which should have a specific definition within the RDA, would be shared on a percentage basis. And then within the actual operations of the project itself, there will be a threshold above which that the equity would return a market rate type of return on an annual basis, where there would be participation from a cash flow perspective.
Is that structure typical in transactions such as this?
I wouldn't necessarily say typical. I think that a lot of the structuring that we've done where we have these types of provisions are highly dependent on the economics and the amount of city subsidy that they're receiving. So if we were to have a cash flow participation and profit sharing with one of our medium grant recipients, I don't necessarily think that that would be an appropriate mechanism to use there. However, given the size and potential outcomes for this project, we believe that having a long-term upside essentially for the city was important.
I agree. Thank you. Just one last question. Given and this is for the developer, you've been successful at raising limited partner equity. How are you feeling about your prospects for capital raising in this market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the market's getting better. We have some hurdles in Chicago in terms of people looking at the city. But I think that we've got a good track record. We've got a remarkable team with Dan Charleston and Chris Carroll. Both are here raising our debt and equity. They have long-term records and track records. And I think the fact that they're both on board really tells the story for the project, that everybody's very optimistic that we'll be able to do it. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think it'll get done.
If I could add another comment to that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Having the multiple components of this project also de-risk the deal from having less speculative to more, I would say, not necessarily guaranteed, but a higher probability occupancy and cash flow from both the retail and residential, which could potentially support the equity markets in their interest in taking the risk on the commercial aspect.
Great. Thank you. And just one last question for the developer. You mentioned a TIF that you received from the city 10 years ago. Is that the only other time you've come to the city for financial support
Yeah.
for your projects?
Yes,
Great. Thank you.
sure.
Any other questions for the commission?
You did mention a little bit about his project history.
Let 'em know who you
I'm
are.
sorry, Commissioner Ron Millsap. Speaking to the project history, the size of this project seemed to be at least double the other projects that were referenced in terms of overall budget.
Correct.
This is by far the largest project you've executed.
Yes. Well, no, it's not the largest I've executed, but it's double the size of that current project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Double the size of the terminal?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the current fiscal environment, in terms of the budgeted cost for the project, have you accounted for potential increases to labor, materials, things of that nature?
Yes.
To add to that, this is the most recent budget that was provided to us earlier this year. The original budget from 2023 obviously would have significant changes, and we made sure to present the most recent budget to this commission.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other questions from members of the commission? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will now call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the redevelopment of the property located at 1717 through 1769 West Pershing Road in the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area, and for the commission to grant authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a land sale agreement with Pershing 1769 LLC for the disposition of the property located at 1717 through 1769 West Pershing Road within the 35th Halsted redevelopment project area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of Pershing 1769 LLC as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for the next item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Planning and Development is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with After School Matters, Inc. for the redevelopment of the property located at 1065 North Orleans Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60610 in the Near North Redevelopment Project Area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of After School Matters, Inc. as developer. Michael Carey will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Butler and members of the Community Development Commission. For the record, my name is Mike Carey, and I'm a financial planning analyst with the Department of Planning and Development. I am joined today by Brendan Dubois, the CFO of After School Matters, the resolution before you requests a recommendation to the City Council to designate After School Matters Incorporated or its affiliates as the developer for the project located at 1065 North Orleans Street, and the authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the developer. The After School Matters Orleans Teen Center is located at 1065 North Orleans Street, which is within the 27th Ward, the Near North Side Community Area, the Near North TIF District, and the Central Planning Region. The alderman is Walter Burnett Jr., and he has provided a letter of support for the project, along with local civic and private leadership who have signed a single letter of support. Here is an overhead view of the neighborhood. The project site is highlighted in red and located on the west side of North Orleans Street, just to the south of West Hill Street. The project site is highly transit accessible with access to the brown and purple lines via the Chicago Avenue station to the south, along with multiple bus routes nearby that connect the Orleans Center to the Loop and to nearly all neighborhoods. This photo shows the exterior condition of the project site prior to the acquisition by After School Matters. The view is facing southeastward, showing the northern and western facade of the building facing Hill Street and Orleans Street. As you can see from the photo, the exterior of the site was in decent condition at the time of acquisition. After School Matters, the developer and owner is renovating the 36,000 square foot, 70-year-old former Catholic school building and commercial retail space into a youth teen center, providing approximately 2,100 paid out of school time programs that will include culinary arts, the trades, and STEM. The center will also provide access to a cafe and fully refurbished gymnasium. The Orleans Center will be After School Matters' third permanent satellite location, along with the Lutz Center in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood and Gately Park in the Pullman neighborhood. After School Matters' flagship programming space is Gallery 37 Center for the Arts located within the Loop. The total project cost is $25.9 million, supported by $5 million in TIF from the Near North TIF District. The project is estimated to be completed in September 2025. The following slides will show the renderings of the finished project. Shown here is the exterior of the building facing southeastward. The development team's scope includes restoration of the building exterior and perimeter, roof and entryway, along with signage and a mural. As of today, tuck pointing and foundation work at the main entrance is complete. The roof, perimeter, entryway, signage, and mural is in progress. The gymnasium located on the main floor will be the most unique feature of the new After School Matters building. It will provide teens with a dedicated space that allows for athletic-focused programming while supporting teens' well-being. The 4,806 square foot gym updates include new wood flooring, basketball hoops, scoreboards, bleachers, lighting and sound upgrades, and the creation of locker rooms. Today, the gymnasium is primarily used as the main staging area for the project. Equipment has been ordered, and its restoration will be one of the last items to be completed. Demo, major mechanical system installation, and drywall have been completed within the other interior portions of the building. The main stairwell, entry vestibule, elevator, and finishes are still in process. After School Matters' plan with the site is to reuse the building's existing layout where possible. In this rendering, the repurposed classroom has been transformed into a space dedicated for teens to learn and enhance skills in multiple art disciplines taught by part-time consultants. Similar space within the building will also be dedicated to learning a wide range of trade skills. Teens will be able to learn from and interact with leading professionals in each field while also exploring career opportunities. The project will be financed through a mix of equity, debt from Bank of America, an Illinois DCEO grant, and TIF funding. The credit facility limit from Bank of America is $14 million and will be bridging the Illinois DCEO grant and TIF funding. The DCEO grant has been appropriated for 2025. Use of the funds was dedicated to the acquisition of the property in 2024 and is now supporting the hard and soft costs for the ongoing construction project. As stated, the developer of the project is After School Matters Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 1991 with a mission to provide after-school programs to Chicago public high school teens that explore their passions and develop their talents while gaining critical skills for college, careers, and beyond. Today, After School Matters offers more than 24,000 programs every year across 362 sites and 3 After School Matters owned facilities. The developer also has assembled an extensive interdisciplinary team for the project that includes Ujamaa Construction, Eckenhoff Saunders Architecture Firm, Cadden Mushin Roseman Law Firm, and Bank of America. The TIF funds will be distributed to the developer as a 100% reimbursement and certificate of completion. Requirements for the use of city funds during the 5-year compliance period include a recapture mortgage, a flip provision in the instance of a capital event, ongoing operational and occupancy covenants, and typical construction compliance requirements for prevailing wage, MWBE, and city residency. The redevelopment of 1065 North Orleans Street into the After School Matters Orleans Center will provide numerous public benefits to the local community and city that include the following: the rehabilitation of 36,000 square feet of vacant commercial space into a youth center, a diverse general and subcontracting team led by Ujamaa Construction, opportunities for local teens to earn a stipend or minimum wage by participating in an estimated 2,100 programs offered by After School Matters, creation of 15 permanent full-time jobs, 55 part-time positions, and approximately 150 temporary construction jobs. DPD has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, the qualifications of the development team, and the need for public assistance. DPD recommends that the Community Development Commission approve the designation of After School Matters Incorporated or its affiliates as developer for 1065 North Orleans Street so that the project can advance to City Council. I'd like to thank the Commission for its favorable consideration of this request. Again, I am joined by a representative of the development team, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. The commission has received a letter of support from the alderman. I don't believe that Alderman Burnett Jr. is present. Is there anyone present from his office that would like to make a statement today?
No, that I'm aware of.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Michael Carey regarding this request by the Department of Planning and Development?
Yes.
Vice Chair Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you know how old the TIF is?
The TIF was designated in 1997 and it's set to expire in 2033.
In 2033?
33. Yes.
Thank you.
Are there other questions from members of the commission? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Great project. Love it. The only question I've got is where this is going is a very changing community. Is there anything being put in place to make sure that it's a community center for all and kind of mirrors what the community was as well as what it's headed towards?
Sure. I'd like to defer to the development team to help with that question.
Thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Brendan Dubois, After School Matters. To answer your question, yes, we've been in close contact with the community. We're very familiar with the area. We serve, After School Matters serves programs throughout the city, and we have partnerships with the Park District, the library, Chicago Public Schools. Those will continue. And we are also in contact with the CHA Chicago Housing Authority, who's in the process of doing a large redevelopment of the parcels just to the west of this building. So we see this as really fitting and serving the community. What's great about After School Matters is we take teens from every community area and all backgrounds and blend them together in our programs. And that's been really successful at our other program sites, and we anticipate that being the case here as well.
Thank you.
Other questions from members of the commission? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with After School Matters, Inc. for the redevelopment of the property located at 1065 North Orleans Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60610 in the Near North Redevelopment Project area, and for the commission to recommend to the City Council the designation of After School Matters, Inc. as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
In that area, near north side, it's all really white now. It's be converted green. This is a mess down here. I told her to separate, I want to, that items and then the other. I had many questions to ask.
Yeah.
Mr. Burnett, I'm sorry, Mr. Blakemore. I'm sorry, I didn't remember which item you wanted to speak to. You want to speak to it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Apologize for that. No, you can stay there.
Always been very fair to me. I did say A and B item. What's going on here?
Mr. Blakemore, could you go to the mic, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
For a lot of these Catholic church, churches ass on it.
And can we have his mic turned on, please?
People are not going to these Catholic churches anymore. So they have these old abandoned buildings and structures and schools. So what the archdiocese decides to do, let's go to government. Let's go to the city of Chicago and we can get our money. But let's go to government. So when you asked this question from that gentleman, community involvement, this is old Cabrini Green. And they have gentrified Black people out of that area completely. So that's why it's very important for a man of my child to call you out when she asked this man what kind of community involved. The only thing they have left is those row high. And these Black people are silent. And that's betrayal. That's why it's very important for me to come. They have no community engagement. Now Walter Burnett is going into housing. He's leaving the city and going to housing. He don't care about the people. That's why I'm outraged when I go in that area to see what has happened to our people, housing them, and how much. It's just terrible. That last one, I wanted to speak on that too. How much is each one of those units gonna cost? Just making the rich richer at the expense of tip money. That's poor people money paying tax. And you all do not challenge them. You're silent, and silent is betrayal. So that's why it's very important for me to come. Go to Cabrini Green. No community engagement. It's turning all lily white. That's a way of gentrifying us out of the city of Chicago. Now I'm finished with it. Thank you again. You've been a gracious lady. You say, Mr. Blakemore.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore.
Thank you. Because I can say thank you, Kate. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for the next item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Housing is requesting the Commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Renaissance Collaborative for the redevelopment of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet in the 47th State Redevelopment Project Area, and for the Commission to grant authority for the Department of Housing to negotiate a land sale agreement with the Renaissance Collaborative for the disposition of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet within the 47th State Redevelopment Project Area, and for the Commission to recommend to the City Council the designation of the Renaissance Collaborative as developer. Vanetta Jones will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Housing. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Butler and members of the Community Development Commission. For the record, my name is Vanetta Jones, a financial planning analyst in the Department of Housing, Housing Development Finance Division. I am presenting to you today a request for support for Abrams Intergenerational Development. This project was selected through the DOH 2023 QAP round. Joining me today is are members of the development team, Oji Eagleston of the Renaissance Collaboration, TRC, and Teresa Prim of Prim Lawrence Group Company as consultant to answer any questions that you may have. The project is located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet in the 3rd Ward under Alderwoman Pat Dow. This will be the 47th and State TIF District, Washington Park community area located in Southeast Planning Region. We have also received a letter of recommendation from Alderwoman Pat Dow as well. Shown is an aerial imagery of the surrounding lots. The lots are outlined in red just south of 53rd Street and east of South Prairie Avenue, and will be 1 block west of Washington Park. This slide shows you the current views of the site. All 3 lots are currently vacant grassy land. As you can see, the lots are also right in the path of the CTA Green Line as well. The project is BIPOC-led by a nonprofit, the Renaissance Collaboration, known as TRC. The Renaissance Collaborative seeks to develop Abrams Intergenerational Village as AIV as a vibrant and intergenerational and permanent supportive housing facility for senior, grand families, and young adults ages 18 through 24, currently enrolled in secondary education of all whom need affordable housing and are homeless, near homeless, or housing insecure. The facility will include an intergenerational supportive housing model for seniors with no familiar ties. TRC is requesting up to $13 million in TIF with a total project cost of $40.7 million. Their project timeline is to start construction at or around December 2025 with project completion of March 2027. As a background, TRC is BIPOC-led, nonprofit, and community-based social impact organization that has provided affordable housing, workforce development, employment, and educational services and solutions to over 1,000 annually in Bronzeville, Washington Park, and is adjacent community since 1992. TRC has a long history and practice advancing wealth creation and economic self-sufficiency within its buildings. In 2000, TRC completed the Renaissance Apartments, a 101-unit SRO building with City of Chicago financing and historic tax credits. In 2010, TRC completed Senior Village 1, a HUD 202 building creating 71 units for seniors only on the northeast corner of Calumet, 346 East 53rd Street, just adjacent to the proposed Abrams Intergenerational Village. Shown is the rendering for the 6-story new construction mid-rise building that will contain 71 units. The first floor includes office space for supportive services, programs and administration, a multi-purpose room, library and computer room, along with fitness center. The second floor includes a community dining area to service the Village Life residences. There will also be 26 off-site parking spaces with 4 accessible and 2 EV, along with space for 30 bike racks. The building will provide 24-hour staff security as well as a monitored security system, on-site storage units on each floor, and a maintenance storage room on the ground floor. Additional building amenities include an outdoor play area and garden, lounge spaces, and 5 laundry rooms with a total of 10 washers and 10 dryers. This is a list of their sources and uses. Developer equity, which will total $220,000. Private debt of $2.8 million with Sinair as their lender. Sinair will also be included as their syndicator as well. Total city funding to include up to $13 million in TIF and home of $2.5 million. Also included will be 3 city-owned lots for the write-down of $1 each. IDA will provide a loan of $3.4 million. The source is unknown at this time. However, we have received a commitment letter from IDA. IDA will also provide the 9% tax credit equity at 93 cents on the dollar for a total equity of approximately $13.9 million. Other sources, including $4.8 million, include land and cash donation, which for a total of $2.2 million, as they will acquire 3 city-owned lots for the write-down of $1 apiece, for a total appraised value at $690,000. They will receive a total equity of $300,150 for this at a buy-in rate of 87 cents on the dollar through U.S. Bank for the land donation. They will also receive a total of $678,000 in equity on cash donation at 87 cents on the dollar as well through U.S. Bank for a grand total of $988,750. Final sources include FHLB loan, grants from both ETOD and ComEd, and a developer fee. The uses will consist of acquisition for land and building for $690,000, which includes the $3 write-down for city-owned lots, environmental remediation of $248,000, hard costs for a total of $34 million, and soft costs for $3.4 million. Reserves of $662,000 and a developer fee at $1.1 million. This making the total development cost at $40.6 million. Sorry. This development will be 100% affordable and proposed units ranging from studio apartments to 3-bedroom units at 30 to 60% AMI. There will be a total of 29 studios, 16 one-bedrooms, 17 two-bedrooms, and 9 3-bedroom units, making a total of 71 units. The 7 studios are at 30% AMI, 19 studios at 50% AMI, and 45 units at 60% AMIs, ranging from the studio apartments to 3 bedrooms. Listed are the units along with the rents, with the studio apartments ranging from $630 to $1,031. 1-bedroom units are flat at $1,297. 2-bedroom units ranging from $1,408 to $1,508, and the 3-bedroom units at $1,618. The square footage is also listed for your privy as well. The development team will consist of the nonprofit, the Renaissance Collaborative, as the developer, and there will not be a co-developer for this project. The architect will be Gensler. We will have BIPOC-led GC Ujima. Attorneys will be Applegate, Thorne and Thompson, and lender and syndicator as Sinair. Attached is the developer org chart for your viewing as well. It kind of engulfed. Okay, so the structure and requirements of the city consist of disbursement of TIF will be 3.25 million at 25% completion. Again, at 50% completion, 75% completion, and the remaining 3.25 at certificate of completion. In accordance to 24 CFR Part 135, 30% of the new hires will be Section 3 residences and/or businesses. The development will exceed the requirements of Chicago's Affirmative Action Ordinance, which requires contract participation of 26% by minority-owned businesses enterprises and 6% by WBE as well. The development will comply with the requirements of the Chicago City Residence Ordinance, and at least half of all construction worker hours will be filled with Chicago residents. There will be an ongoing commitment to procurement from local WMBE, WBE, Section 3 businesses, artists, and professional service providers. Environmental features include the building design to meet the Enterprise Sustainable Green Design and the City of Chicago Sustainable Design Policies. The building will include resource-efficient plumbing fixtures with low-flow shower heads and faucets, high-efficiency toilets, along with the garden plaza area that will include native plants to help reduce stormwater runoff. For permanent jobs, there will be the creation of 12 full-time jobs paying at or above livable wage and approximately 147 construction jobs. So the request for the commission is approval to grant authority for the DOH to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with TRC for the redevelopment of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet Avenue. Approval to recommend to the City Council the designation of the Renaissance Collaborative as developer, and to grant authority for DOH to negotiate a land sale agreement with TRC for the disposition of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet Avenue. This concludes my presentation. Again, I have Oji Eagleston and Teresa Prim here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. The commission has received a letter of support from Alderwoman Dow. I believe I was told earlier that someone from the Alderwoman Dow's office is present and would like to make a statement on her behalf. Thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself.
For the record, Constantine Kerrigan for Alderman Dow. Alderman Dow supports this project. It has been presented to the community. She wants to voice her excitement about an intergenerational project for grand families and wants to thank TRC for bringing this project to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Vanetta Jones regarding this request by the Department of Housing? Yes, Commissioner Curtis.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify, the request here is just for the sale of the property, or is this for the TIF financing as well?
It is also for the TIF financing up to 13 million.
Okay, and just so I understand, how does the TIF regain the increment, the 13 million? How does that come back to the TIF?
Well, basically, it'll be put back in tax rolling. So once it's, up and running and everything is in, it will be put back on tax bill dollars.
Okay, this is the organization, the Renaissance Collaborative, is a not-for-profit?
Correct.
So what taxes are generated then to go back for the increment?
I'm sorry, we need you to come to the mic and introduce yourself. Thank you for joining us.
Teresa Prim from Lawrence Group, the real estate development consultant for Abrams Intergenerational Village. It is a low-income housing tax credit transaction, so it will not be 100% tax exempt. So it will pay property taxes based on it being affordable housing.
Okay, so it'll pay some property taxes.
Yes.
I'm not as familiar probably as I should be. How is there a percentage of property taxes then that will be assessed, or how does that work?
Yes. This budget actually projects about 71,000 annually in property taxes.
I don't mean to be argumentative, but that's going to take a long time to pay back 13 million.
Yes.
Will that be the sole increment?
Yes. No, I assume the area is also included in.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
That is the sole source of repaying the increment of 13 million? Is that $70,000 a year in extra real estate taxes?
From this
Yes,
building.
yes.
Okay, I think that's the only question I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there other questions or comments from members of the commission? Vice Chair Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can you pull back to the org chart? Where does the increment come from? Does it come from the LP or who's paying the increment?
The owner of the property will be the LP.
Okay. Thank you.
Do members of the commissions have additional questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner Millsap.
Commissioner Mills, I have a question for OG.
Thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is OG Eggleston. I'm the Executive Director of the Renaissance Collaborative. Thank you for your consideration today.
First, I want to congratulate you on your role as Executive Director. I had a chance to work with Pat Abrams over the years and knew a little bit about this project. Obviously, there's home and a few other examples here in the Chicagoland area of intergenerational housing. What type of supports will you guys have to make sure that you get the right mix in terms of, social service supports and therapists, things of that nature, to make sure as you bring folks in and support this type of housing that it's a successful endeavor?
Just to start, the mission of the Renaissance Collaborative, paraphrasing, is to move residents to self-sufficiency. And so the services that we provide are currently provided in 2 buildings that we have. The Renaissance Apartments, where we provide wraparound services, where we have full-time staff that serve as caseworkers to bring various resources to the table. They provide direct group therapy to the residents. They provide, life skills for the residents. A lot of the residents are former homeless individuals, so they need to regain those life skills necessary for them, workforce, career development, et cetera. And so in addition to that, because we have case managers, we provide referrals for any needs that the residents have. We'll bring that same model to Abrams Intergenerational Village, where we'll have a youth coordinator to make sure that we have appropriate programming on site in our community space. In addition to that, we'll have a program coordinator for the adults in the building. So we'll have customized programs once again, after-school programs, summertime programs, et cetera, as well as case managers and coordinators to provide those referral services that are needed.
And last question, how is the organization doing?
I don't want to toot my own horn, but no, I'm joking. The organization is actually doing extremely well. I, as an executive director, benefited from working side by side with Pat Abrams for a full year to aid in the transition. So I had a solid footing in terms of what the organization needed and the vision for the organization. We have a solid board that's growing, that's very engaged. In addition to that, we have new staff where we have a strong culture and, once again, a clear vision to meet the needs of the residents we serve and also the community as a whole.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions from members of the commission? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Housing is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Renaissance Collaborative for the redevelopment of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet in the 47th State Redevelopment Project area, and for the commission to grant authority for the Department of Housing to negotiate a land sale agreement with the Renaissance Collaborative for the disposition of the property located at 5300 through 5318 South Calumet within the 47th State Redevelopment Project area, and for the commission to recommend to the City Council the designation of the Renaissance Collaborative as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any abstentions or objections?
My objection.
Okay, please note that Commissioner Curtis is a no vote. Hearing no other changes, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for the next item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Housing is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation for the redevelopment of the property located at 1539 North Pulaski in the Pulaski Corridor Redevelopment Project area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of the Hispanic Housing Corporation, HHDC, as developer. Ramiz Baremyi, Bimji, thank you, will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Housing.
Good afternoon, Chair Butler and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Ramiz Bimji. I'm a financial planning analyst in the multifamily finance division of the Department of Housing. Today, I'm presenting a request for the Department of Housing to designate the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation, HHDC, as a developer and to negotiate a redevelopment agreement for the project 1539 North Pulaski Road, Elderly. I'm joined by members of the development team, as well as Assistant Commissioner Joe Lewis, who are prepared to answer any questions or provide additional context after this presentation. The project site is located in the Pulaski Corridor TIF District, the West Planning area in the Humboldt Park community under Alder Jesse Fuentes of the 26th Ward. We have received a letter of support for this project from the Alder, as well as from other community members. The project site outlined in red is located on the east side of Pulaski Road within a fully developed commercial corridor in the Humboldt Park community area. The proposed site is adjacent to commercial and mixed-use buildings, as well as single-family and multifamily housing. Immediately north of the project site is North and Pulaski Elderly Apartments, a city-supported 72-unit senior housing development, also owned and managed by HHDC as part of its community elderly housing initiative. Pictured in the top left is the existing elderly housing currently managed by HHDC. The proposed site consists of 5 parcels covering a little over half an acre that was acquired by HHDC from a private party in the year 2005, which included vacant land as can be viewed looking northwest towards the site, and a vacant building as can be viewed looking southeast. The building is formerly known as Pioneer Arcade, a 2-story 1920s era Spanish colonial revival structure that was designated as a historic landmark in late 2022 by the city of Chicago. HHDC, as lead developer, seeks to redevelop the vacant historic property and land into a 6-story, 60-unit affordable rental building with supportive services for very low-income elderly households. The project will provide 58 one-bedroom units at 50% AMI or less, 2 two-bedroom units at 60% AMI or less, and 1 two-bedroom unit for a resident manager for a total of 61 units. To note, there is no proposed commercial space. The developer is requesting a little over $13.2 million in TIF funding for a total project cost of approximately $36 million. It is expected that construction will commence in the first quarter of 2026 or earlier, and is expected to conclude within 2 years or less. Shown here is a rendering of the proposed west elevation. The project will preserve the terracotta facade of the historic property, the ground floor lobby, and the second floor assembly space, behind which will be the attached 6-story, 61-unit new construction, and a total of 26 parking spaces on site, 4 of which will be accessible. There will be a wide array of support and common space, including supportive service coordinator office, health exam and counseling room with a private waiting area, an exercise room, bicycle storage, residential storage, laundry room, and a community multi-purpose hall with a kitchenette, to name just a few. The project budget is a mixed finance development with sources that include an equity raise of approximately $16 million and 9% low-income housing tax credits based on a syndication price of 86 cents per credit. Total city funding is approximately $13 million in tax increment financing that has been approved through the TIF request review process. Other sources include a HUD Section 202 capital advance grant for $6 million in combination with an approximately $500,000 Adopt a Landmark grant from the Department of Planning and Development, and an approximately $200,000 in ComEd award, bringing the total financial sources for the proposed project to just over $36 million. Uses consist of acquisition costs of just over $1 million, hard costs including site prep, clearance, and contingency of approximately $28 million, and soft costs of approximately $3.3 million, not including reserves of approximately $1.2 million, and a developer fee of approximately $1.85 million, bringing the total uses to $36,159,334. This development will be 100% affordable, with proposed units ranging from 58 one-bedroom units at 50% AMI to 2-bedroom units at 60% AMI, and a 1 2-bedroom unit designated for a resident manager, bringing the total to 61 units. As for the proposed rent, the project received a commitment from HUD as part of Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Program in the form of a Project Rental Assistance Contract, or PRAC. The proposed monthly rent for the 1-bedroom unit is $989 with a size of 560 square feet and a tenant portion of $70. The monthly rent for the 2-bedroom units is $1,024 with a size of 805 square feet and a tenant portion of $84. The development team consists of HHDC serving as sponsor, developer, and property manager, UrbanWorks as architect of record, Applegate and Thorne Thompson as transaction and zoning counsel, Reuben Brown as tax counsel, and Stearns Bank as the bridge loan lender. HHDC has also partnered with a local supportive services organization, Casa Central, to provide eligible residents with supportive services, which include assistance with activities of daily living, ADLS, mitigation of social isolation, depression, and overall enhancement of quality of life. This is anticipated to be achieved by a combination of various in-house activities that promote social, physical, and cognitive wellness through physical design and activity programming, facilitated by the service coordinator, community-based volunteers, and service-oriented partners. To speak on HHDC's experience, HHDC has extensive experience since its founding in 1975 and was recently awarded a contract by the Chicago Housing Authority to manage a public housing portfolio numbering approximately 4,000 units, and currently manages a portfolio of approximately 8,000 affordable apartments in the Midwest region and in Puerto Rico. Attached is a developer organizational chart for reference. For the structure and requirements, city funds will be dispersed in 3 installments during the construction period, following 30%, 60%, and 90% of completion, and the remaining 10% will be funded at certificate of completion. Because TIF funds are reimbursement-based, no advanced TIF funds are available at closing, meaning funding must be bridged with a loan during construction. The project must also meet standard City of Chicago construction and compliance requirements, including prevailing wage, minority and women-owned business participation, and city residency hiring goals. As mentioned, the project will deliver 60 affordable supportive housing units for the elderly, serving on average 50% AMI or less for a period of at least 30 years. The project will revitalize the intersection of West North Avenue and North Pulaski Road by activating a vacant property and land. Additionally, we estimate the project will create approximately 50 construction jobs and 4 permanent jobs. Lastly, the development team is committed to meeting or exceeding the city's affirmative action goals, including 26% minority and 6% women-owned business participation, and ensuring that at least 50% of the workforce comes from Chicago residents. To recap, the request for the commission is to 1, grant authority for the DOH to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Hispanic Housing Development Corporation for the redevelopment of the property located at 1539 North Pulaski Road in the Pulaski Corridor Redevelopment Project area. And 2, to recommend to the City Council the designation of HHDC as developer. Joining me in attendance from the development team is Vice President of Real Estate Development, Steve Porras, and CEO Tony Hernandez, as well as Assistant Commissioner Joe Lewis from the DOH to address any questions you may have. Thank you for your time, and this concludes my presentation.
Great, thank you. The commission has received a letter of support from the alderman. If present, I would like to recognize Alderman Fuentes or anyone from their office and invite them to make a statement on the project. Anyone from the alderman's office here?
I don't believe so.
All right, great. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the Department of Housing regarding this request? Yes, Commissioner Curtis.
Thank you, Chair. Kind of the same question as before. How do we regain the increment back to the TIF? You've talked about revitalizing the area. I'm looking at the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation's website. I'm sorry, I probably missed it, but I don't see if it's a not-for-profit or for-profit organization. So will there be real estate taxes paid on this development?
The development entity is a not-for-profit corporation. I'll defer to Assistant Commissioner for a more detailed answer as far as your other question.
For the record, my name is Joe Lewis. I'm Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Housing. To the question about real estate taxes, as it stands presently, the property is already owned by HHDC. I believe it is on the tax rolls presently. It is likely not being assessed as a vacant property at present. With this project, however, because the nature of the project of being supportive housing and serving a very, very low income population doesn't really permit much financial flexibility in terms of covering property taxes or even debt service obligations. The expectation is that the developer will be seeking a charitable property tax exemption with respect to the real estate taxes on a going forward basis once the property is constructed.
Can you help me understand, is there another way that the tax increment will be repaid? You mentioned redeveloping the corner, some of those types of things. Is there another way that we can see that there's additional benefit that will help repay this increment?
I can note that the city intends to secure its investment in a second lien mortgage in favor of the city. So upon the event of any sort of capital event, like a refinancing or sale, the city would be in a position to negotiate some upside potentially with respect to any of those actions in the future. We're not anticipating attaching any sort of like cash flow based repayment or any hurdle based repayment in the interim period. Again, noting the sort of supportive service and very low income oriented nature of the project. But the city will be in a position will be in an advantageous position to negotiate some potential upside benefits if a capital event happens in the future.
I really like the project. As I'm a senior and getting older myself, I think it's a great project, and I still believe that our objective here is, with the TIF financing, is to repay that TIF. But thank you for your comments.
And I'll just add that the proposed project will satisfy the redevelopment plan area.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Yes, Commissioner Millsap.
Yes, you mentioned earlier in the project description that no TIF funds would be allowed during the actual construction project, and that those funds would need to be bridged. And the uses and sources is not clear how those funds are being bridged. Can you perhaps provide a little more insight on how the TIF funds are being bridged in this project?
To clarify, no TIF funds will be advanced because it is reimbursement based, meaning the costs will have to be incurred, and that funding will come privately through Stearns Bank as a bridge loan.
I guess it's still not clear on the uses and sources. Do you understand
Could
the
you pull that
question?
back up, please? So we can, thank
There's
you.
a $13 million TIF.
This uses and sources is a permanent finance capital stack, not the construction capital stack.
Okay.
And so to clarify, Stearns Bank is providing the bridge financing during the construction period?
That is correct.
Thank you for clarifying. No further questions.
Do members of the commission have additional questions or comments? If there are no further questions or comments from the commission regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Housing is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation, HHDC, for the redevelopment of the property located at 1539 North Pulaski in the Pulaski Corridor redevelopment project area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation, HHDC, as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections? Please let the record note that Commissioner Curtis is a no. Great, thank you. Are there any additional objections or abstentions? Hearing no additional objections or abstentions, the motion is approved. Thank you. Commissioners, for the last item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Housing is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Homan Square Apartments Phase 4 LP for the redevelopment of the property located at 3607, 3621, 3645 West Polk Street, 909, 908 South Central Park Avenue, 921 South Lawndale Avenue, in the Homan-Arthington redevelopment project area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of Homan Square Apartments Phase 4 LP as developer. Amici Creighton will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Housing.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Chairwoman Butler and members of the committee. My name again is Amici Creighton, and I am a financial planning analyst for the Department of Housing. I also have Joseph Lewis, which is the assistant commissioner, and also Eden Hurd-Smith behind us, who is representing IFF. The proposed transaction before you seeks authorization for the developer designation and to negotiate a redevelopment agreement for Homan Square Apartments Phase 4 LP for properties located at 3607, 3621, 3645 West Polk Street, 906 and 908 South Central Park Avenue, and 921 South Lawndale. The project site is situated within the East Garfield Park and North Lawndale community areas, encompassed by the Homan-Arthington TIF district and the West Planning area. It falls within the boundaries of the 24th Ward, represented by Alderwoman Monique Scott, who has provided a letter of support for the project. Displayed is an aerial image of the development site with multiple parcels outlined in red. The site includes 6 three-story walk-up buildings with 3 buildings on West Polk Street, 2 on South Central Park Avenue, and 1 on South Lawndale Avenue. All buildings are arranged in a campus-style layout surrounding Boiler Park in the North Lawndale East Garfield Park neighborhood. North Lawndale community has endured decades of disinvestment, redlining, and industrial decline that led to significant poverty, housing abandonment, and population loss. A turning point came in 19 1988 with the 1988 with the closure of Sears headquarters, which spurred the creation of the Home and Square Community Development Initiative. This effort has added over 350 affordable and mixed income housing units, repurposed historic buildings, and introduced key services to the area such as Powerhouse High School, a community center, Lawndale Christian Health Center, a YMCA, and North Lawndale Employment Network. Displayed is the current exterior condition of the building located at 3607 West Polk Street. All 5 remaining buildings within the development share identical architectural design, structural characteristics, and overall condition. This aerial view captures all 6 buildings within the development, providing a comprehensive visual representation of the current condition of the entire site. The image highlights the uniform architectural layout, the central positioning around Boiler Park, and the overall physical state of the structures and surrounding grounds. The developers of Home and Square Apartments submitted an application during the 2023 QAP round and were selected to receive financial assistance for the rehabilitation. Originally built in 1999 as part of the broader revitalization strategy following the closure of Sears headquarters in North Lawndale, the 107-unit, 100% affordable multifamily development, formerly known as Westside Village, Phase 4 has provided deeply affordable housing to the community for over 2 decades. This project is part of a multi-phase redevelopment initiative led by the Foundation for Home and Square, which has transformed the former Sears campus into a mixed-use community. The existing buildings feature masonry exteriors, shingle roofs, natural gas HVAC systems, and no elevators. Amenities include laundry rooms, intercom entry, and basement storage. The proposed project includes interior upgrades with Energy Star appliances, LED lighting, low-flow plumbing, new cabinetry, and flooring. For the exterior, there will be new roofs and windows, tuck pointing, and stair repairs or replacement if needed. The site upgrades include parking lot repairs, EV charging stations, sidewalk improvements, and exterior mailboxes. The development currently has approximately 9 to 10 vacant units. The relocation plan involves renovating these vacant units first, then sequentially relocating existing tenants into the completed units as the remaining apartments undergo renovation. The total project cost is estimated at $34 million with 9.9 TIF funding request. Construction is anticipated to begin in January 2026, with completion expected by summer of 2027. The project will be supported by multiple permanent financing sources that total $34 million. To fund the senior construction period financing, the City of Chicago will issue $19 million in bonds, which will be privately placed with BMO Harris Bank. Upon project completion, this financing will be converted to a permanent loan of approximately $5.3 million. In addition, the project will utilize tax-exempt debt, which will generate approximately $12.7 million in equity. There's also existing debt of $5.5 million, which accounts for approximately 16% of the total project financing and is comprised of 3 sources in the current version of the financing plan. A home loan amount of $4.5 million, a loan from Chicago Low Income Housing Trust totaling $367,000 and $700,000 in reserves. TIF funding of $9.9 million will represent approximately 29% of the financing, the deferred developer fee of $575,000. The uses consist of acquisition for land, building of $6.9 million, hard cost of $18.5 million, and soft cost of $5.7 million. Also included is the loan interest and construction contingency of $1.8 million, which all totals $34.2 million. Home and Square Apartments Phase 4 will be a fully affordable housing development comprising of a total of 107 rental units. The unit mix is designed to serve households across a range of income levels, with 12 units reserved for residents earning up to 30% of the AMI, 11 units for those earning up to 50% of AMI, and the remaining 84 units allocated to households earning up to 60% of the AMI. The development includes 72 bedroom units, which approximately 95 square feet with 900, excuse me, with each approximately 905 square feet, each projected monthly rents ranging from $672 to $1,270. In addition, there are 35 three-bedroom units, each approximately 1,139 square feet, with monthly rents ranging from $777 to $1,390. The development team will be a collaboration of IFF and FHS. IFF is formerly known as the Illinois Facilities Fund, is a Chicago-based nonprofit organization established in 1988. As a CDFI and developer, IFF provides loans to nonprofit agencies in community development, acquisition, construction, remodeling, and refinancing in 9 states. IFF has also previously partnered with the City of Chicago on several projects such as Home and Square Phase 1, Phase 5, and Phase 6. In the late 2010s, IFF assumed the role of real estate developer and designated asset manager for the Home and Square rental housing developments, succeeding the Shaw Company. The Foundation for Home and Square, established in 1995, is a nonprofit organization that serves as the co-developer and project sponsor of the revitalization efforts in Home and Square neighborhood. The foundation aims to create a holistic campus for the community following the closures of Sears headquarters. And again, FHS has also been actively involved in prior phases of Home and Square apartments and continues to manage several community assets within the community. WJW Architects is a Chicago-based architectural firm, and the GC will be a joint venture between Berling Builders and Solis Construction. And for the attorneys, Applegate, Thorne and Thompson is the law firm. And the lenders, BMO Harris, Redstone Equity, and Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust will provide additional financing for the project. Here's the developer organization chart that displays ownership interest for your viewing. Okay, the project's TIF funding is structured to be dispersed in 4 installments over the course of the development period. 3 of these installments will be distributed during construction, with the final installment released upon achievement of certificate of completion milestone. The disbursement schedule is as follows: 10.2 at 30% completion, another 10.2 at 60% completion, and also at 90% completion, and the remaining 10% of $3.4 million upon issuance of the certificate of completion. STIP funding is provided on a reimbursement basis and no funds are available at financial closing. Interim financing will be required to bridge these payments during the construction period. And additionally, the project team is fully committed to meeting or exceeding the city's affirmative action and workforce participation goals. This includes a minimum of 20% participation by minority-owned businesses and 6% by women-owned businesses, and adherence to local residency hiring targets during construction. The development will benefit the public in following ways. For affordable housing, the development will preserve 107 affordable units, all rent restricted and reserved for households earning between 30 to 60% of the area median income. These units will remain affordable for at least 30 years. We'll provide environmental sustainable features that have been integrated throughout the building's rehabilitation to enhance energy performance. The project will also produce approximately 30 temporary construction jobs. Also, a letter of support dated May 12th, 2025 has been provided by the Alderwoman Monique Scott. In summary, the proposed transaction requests authorization for the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Home and Square Apartments Phase 4 LP for the rehabilitation of the properties located at 3707, 3621, 3645 West Polk Street, 906 and 908 South Central Park Avenue, and 921 South Lowndes Avenue in the Homan Arlington redevelopment project area. In addition, the Department of Housing requests approval to recommend to City Council to designate Home and Square Apartments Phase 4 LP as a developer for this project. This concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions from me or from the Deputy Commissioner and from IFS team as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The commission has received a letter of support from Alderman Scott. If present, I would like to recognize Alderman Scott or someone from their office and invite them to make a statement on the project. Is there anyone from the Alderman's office here? Okay, so Commissioners, do you have any questions for Amici Creighton regarding this request by the Department of Housing? Commissioner Curtis.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, my understanding is that the development currently exists. We are repairing and updating a large percentage of the current development.
Correct.
And with that, if we were not to do that, then I assume that there would be significant impact on that, economic impact on that area if that development is allowed to continue to fall. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, that is a fair assumption.
Okay, so then I can assume that there is a significant economic impact to the TIF if we were to allow this to fall versus sustaining the development. Is that a stretch?
I would not say it's a stretch.
Thank you.
Additional questions, Commissioner Curtis? Do other members of the commission? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Kind of, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Along those lines, how many more years of affordability is it with those? Are these governed by like a 30-year
Yes.
affordability covenant as well?
Yes,
So will
they are.
that be extended with this, or do we know how many years are remaining?
Joe Lewis from the city's Department of Housing. I don't immediately recall how many years are remaining on the use period restrictions that govern the property in connection with the past provision of city assistance. There are at least several years remaining, and I think a representative from IFF would be able to speak to that specific number. But to the other question about the extension of use restriction terms, yes, we would impose at least a 30-year period of affordability restrictions in connection with the TIF assistance. Furthermore, the low-income housing tax credit assistance that the city provides will also impose a 30-year compliance period.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. Because it sounds like we're financing up to over 300 grand per unit in a rehab. Is that right?
It does equate to something around $300,000 per unit in total development cost.
Okay.
That's correct.
So yes. So as long as we got that extension in there so that we're at least getting our money's worth on that piece of it. But
Good afternoon, Eden Hurd-Smith. I'm from IFF. Thank you for your consideration. Just wanted to clarify two things. So this was built in 1998, so the extended use agreement would probably be for about 3 more years. That would be extended as he just said, for another 30 years once we actually close on the project. In terms of the TIF, just wanted to mention this was a developer-created TIF back in 1998 with almost the entirety of the creation coming from Homan Square. So just wanted to note that as well. And then also, just lost my train of thought because you just said something I wanted to note as well. Apologies.
the per unit cost?
Per unit cost, thank you, thank you. We're rolling over a significant amount of some city debt, so some of that is actually the rollover. The hard cost is limited to about, I want to say 17 to 18 million, 17 to 18 million, so that per unit cost is actually a bit lower when you consider the rollover of some of that city debt that's in that TDC.
Okay, thank you.
So what do you anticipate given what you just said, what is kind of the effective cost per unit? Approximately.
I would probably approximate, it would probably be under about 200 a unit after the rollover of that debt, because the debt is probably about 10 million that we're rolling
Sure.
over.
Okay, great. And just one question, just the practical logistics of a renovation
Yes.
where people are currently living in
course.
units. So could you speak a bit about what the plan is with respect to kind of the phasing of the renovation and residents being displaced? How is all that being managed?
Sure. So as they mentioned, we have 10 units that are currently vacant. The plan is to keep those 10 units vacant at all times. So we're going to start in those first 10 units. We would then move, everyone would move one time, and it'd be a permanent move. So they would move permanently into a rehabbed unit. Then we would do the next tier of units that would be then vacated once we move them into those units. So we would get through all of those buildings, all of those units using those 10 units. And if there's any additional vacancies, we have considered whether we would leave those units open. We don't want to displace anyone, but if just through attrition, you know, 1 or 2 more people leave, then we would have another 1 or 2 units that would be available for that relocation.
And just by way of curiosity, what is kind of the average tenure of the residents there?
Some of them have been there since 1998. They don't really move out. Most of these folks have been, 25, 30 years. And we have a waiting list of about 150 people at any given time for the units at Home and Square. So people don't really move out, which is why I say attrition is, we really don't get it, which is why we were holding those units. We've been holding these units out for about a year just because we knew we wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions or comments regarding this? Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
Just a comment for me. See your slide on the TIF disbursement. I think you've got the total project cost in there versus the actual TIF disbursement piece. So I want to take a look at that.
Oh, correct. You're correct. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. You're
No
correct.
worries.
We'll change it
Yeah,
for
change
purposes
that.
of the public record. Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
for that. Any additional comments or questions? Yes, Vice Chair Thomas.
Who will own the land? Or who owns the land?
Currently owned by the Foundation for Home and Square and Shaw Development Corporation, which is who originally developed the property. The closing transaction would take then Shaw out of that equation. We would then be placed into it as the general partner, and then obviously our investor would become the limited partner. So Foundation for Home and Square and an IFF entity would then become the new owners along with the limited partner.
Okay, so that's all not for profit.
Correct.
Okay.
I just wanted to add a comment with respect to relocation. Relocation plans are subject to, I'm Joe Lewis from the city's Department of Housing for the record as well. Relocation plans are subject to local, state, and federal regulation. They are monitored by the Department of Housing for compliance with those regulations by a dedicated staff person. And an approved relocation plan will be a condition of closing, post-closing. All of those activities will continue to be monitored until project completion.
Thank you for that additional information regarding the relocation plan. Any additional comments or questions from members of the commission? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Housing is requesting the commission to grant authority to the Department of Housing to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Home and Square Apartments Phase 4 LP for the redevelopment of the property located at 3607, 3621, 3645 West Polk Street, 906, 908 South Central Park Avenue, 921 South Lawndale Avenue, in the Homan Arthington redevelopment project area, and for the commission to recommend to the city council the designation of Home and Square Apartments Phase 4 LP as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections or abstentions? All right.
Abstention.
All right, please let the record note that Commissioner Millsap is abstaining. Any other abstentions or no votes? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, that was our last item on today's agenda. If there are no further questions or comments, I move to adjourn the July 8th, 2025 meeting of the Community Development Commission by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Hearing no objections to adjournment, we are adjourned.